Hello everybody, back again, and how are you today? It's middle of November, Christmas is fast approaching, Doctor Who Series 13 is currently on the air, and I'm enjoying it. But I'm not here to talk about Doctor Who Flux, I'll talk about that when it's finished. I'm here to talk about Revelation of the Daleks. Yeah. The season 22 finale, and widely regarded as Colin Baker's best story. Do I think it's his best story? No. I'm putting that right now. It's got its flaws. I prefer Marco Verana to this story, but it is good. It's also the first story of a JNT era, or the first finale of a JNT era, not to end on a really rubbish story. It's written by Eric Saywood, who tries to redeem himself for Resurrection of the Daleks. I personally prefer Resurrection over Revelation, but as I said in my review about one, that's because that story made me a Doctor Who fan, so it's bias. Right? Basically, this one, he tries to remake a couple of the previous stories and put his own spin on it. There are times when it's very similar to Caves of Androzani, in fact that most of the guest cast are unlikable. The score at times is very reminiscent of Caves of Androzani, and it's also directed by Graham Harper, who is fantastic. He's one of the best directors Doctor Who's ever had. It is a great story. It's a phenomenal Davros story. Terry Malloy puts in his best performance, or best live action performance as Davros in this one. I don't think it's a good Dalek story. They are pretty much just the servants of Davros. They go around doing his orders, and it's not really till the very end when you get to see the original Grey Daleks doing their thing. But this story introduces the Supreme Daleks, something that was hinted at in the previous story. Basically, they're white with gold discs. They look nice. They do look nice. They look better in their next TV story. It is a good story. There is plenty of great dialogue. The Doctor, though, how can I put this? He doesn't feature in it much, or basically, if you take the Doctor out, the story would still end the same way that it does. He doesn't really have any impact on it. The characters that die would have still died. Most of them die away from the Doctor. He lands right at the start of the story. It's great that they leave the TARDIS with no TARDIS scenes. In fact, I think this is the first story since, I think, Kinder, to have no scenes in the TARDIS. That's a long stretch. To have no scenes in the TARDIS. And one of my issues this season is that the Doctor in the TARDIS is different to the Doctor we get when we're on location. And it's the same here. We see him on Necros walking around. He's comforting Pera when she accidentally kills someone who's attacking the Doctor. He also comforts the person who did attack him. He's holding him in his arms. And this mutant that attacked him, he's all scaly and burnt and horrid. And the Doctor holds his hand. And I think that's such a lovely, tender moment. I think it is. And it's so Doctorish. And then after that, you get the Doctor and Perry bickering. Not nastily, not snidely, but it's like the two mates. And you know how mates do when they make petty remarks at each other. And I like that aspect of the relationship. And it's a shame we didn't see it before this story. I like that. But the Doctor still doesn't get into the site of tranquil repose until halfway through the story. Part one is just walking around, and then you actually get a time frame. The President's ship is due to arrive in 52 minutes, start of part two, and in 52 minutes Davros has been captured, everyone is dead, and Yeah, 52 minutes is all it took for the plot to fall apart. Woo. I say you got Clive Swift. I will say late great Clive Swift, but man, was he bitter about his career. If you haven't read his interview that he did with Doctor Who magazine just before Voyage of the Damned aired, find it, read it. He was angry. He was very angry that his career was known for being in Doctor Who and most famously for keeping up appearances. Well, Steve Davis even said later that he regretted hiring him or getting him cast in Voyage of the Damned. But here I think he's pretty decent. In fact, the majority of the guest cast are absolutely fantastic. You got Orsina, the Knight of Grand Order of Oberon. He's one of my favourite characters in Doctor Who. I wish we could see more, but it's a Dalek story. It's an Eric Saywood Dalek story, so of course he's going to die. As again, most of the guest cast in this one do die. But it's a Dalek story. Season 22 definitely ends on a high note. This was the last story to end. So then a little bit of a cliffhanger. At the end, Perry says she wants to go on a holiday, so Doctor's going to be, I know, I'll take you to Blackpool. And that would have led up to the original plan, season 23, which was started off in Blackpool with a story called The Nightmare Fair, and would have seen the return of the Celestial Toymaker. That well-known character who last appeared in the mid-60s, yeah. So, I personally think the show did need a rest at this point. I don't think it was fair on Colin Baker, because he got a lot of criticism. But I think the show definitely needed a rest at this point. Because for the past couple of years, there's just been so much murder and violence, and a lot of it's down to Eric Saywood, and it's quite clear by this point he had no interest in the show. He had none at all. He wanted out, and J&T sort of kept him in it as well, held him hostage. Yeah, anyway, this story, Revelation of the Daleks, if you're going to watch one Colin Baker story, I would recommend this one. I think Mark Avani is better, but this one has the Daleks, has a great guest cast, has a great score, it's well directed. I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10, I feel. I think that's about fair. There are flaws in it, there's a lot of death, and the Doctor, take the Doctor out and you have the exact same story. Yeah, 8 out of 10, but yeah, my next review will be for Trial of a Time Lord, The Mysterious Planet. I shall talk about that season in another video before I start it. But yeah, it's been a long slog these past couple of years for Doctor Who. And for the world in general, really, hasn't it? It's been tiring. I need a holiday. I know. I'm going to go to